this video is about how Hal Turner is completely wrong about this claim he's making on the interwebs and talk radio apparently about a post-mortem study, the first post-mortem study of somebody who died of COVID, of the pandemic, I don't know what to say to keep the video uploaded. After taking the VA CCINE, and so I read the actual science study, and then this led me to research what the actual VACCINE is, how it was created. So it was an 86-year-old man, and he got the first dose, and then after I think it was a couple weeks later, then he got a severe diarrhea, and so he went to the hospital. And when he got there, they tested his antigens, and the test came out negative. So that means he had no spike proteins. And what Hal Turner is claiming is that the vaccine creates spike proteins that then essentially kill people. But in fact, the spike proteins only last for a few days, and then the body creates antibodies, and that's why. And also the spike proteins, they were specially designed to have to not have fusion. So they stay in the pre-fusion form, which means they stay bound to the cell where they're actually created. They're on the surface, the membrane of the cell, and that means that they do not bind with the ACE2 receptor, which is on the host cell. So they never even go into a host cell. And so that's the whole claim of Hal Turner and the anti-vaccine people, is that they're saying that the vaccine shuts down your ACE2 creation of the angiotensin that your body needs to function properly. And so the people who engineered the vaccine, the spike protein, are mRNA, precisely designed a pre-fusion, they call it like a spring trap. It's a couple of codons that create a spring latch, and they prevent the spike protein from latching onto any host cell. They keep it attached to the original cell membrane, and then the shot is put into the muscle. And since the 86-year-old only got one dose, therefore body never created the memory B cell reaction, which is the rapid response recall. And that's why when people get the second dose, like I got the second dose, and my relatives, the next day you sleep, because when your body is sleeping, that's when your immune system is creating antibodies through the memory B cells as a rapid response to the antigens. So you already have that memory from the first dose of that the antigens activate the memory B cells to create antibodies. And that's the long, then you know you have the long-term immune protection from the spike protein that lasts for months, at least months. So then, since this 86-year-old had no symptoms of COVID-19, when he went into the hospital for diarrhea, and he had no spike proteins on the test, and the vaccine is designed to react to those spike proteins. So therefore, they put him in the same room as somebody else who was COVID positive. And he had they found out he had colitis, and that's what caused the diarrhea. But he also had, when he ended up, after 3 weeks in the hospital, he died from, and they had tested him as having, his kidneys collapsed, and that is caused by the pandemic, and caused sudden kidney failure, which is how he died. But then and also his lungs. But on the post-mortem, they discovered he had a bacterial infection already in his lungs, and he had severe chronic tension, blood hypertension, and so his kidneys already were severely damaged as a chronic kidney condition. And like in Italy, over 90% of the mortalities from the pandemic are people who are over 65 years old. And so what happens is that at that age, the immune system is dramatically compromised. And since he had only had a first dose, the whole point of the article was that the first dose, they tested he did have his antibodies that were activated. So he had an antibody response to the spike proteins after they tested him for the RNA virus of the pandemic. And so this is what Hal Turner was claiming, that his viral RNA throughout his body was actually from the vaccine. But that's not true at all. It's because he was put in the same room. And so they did a test that precisely tested the RNA of the pandemic, and in comparison to 4 other similar viruses that can be confused with the pandemic. So that's why it wasn't just the vaccine, it was precisely because the vaccine is just this part of the they're saying that the vaccine did cause his immune system to create antibodies, but not good enough to actually protect him because he didn't have the rapid recall response that the second dose enables from the memory B cells. And so that's the whole point of the paper, was that the second dose is what really guarantees the protection in comparison to the first dose. But this was completely misread by Hal Turner and then spread on the internet as essentially a lie about the science, because they refuse to investigate the science of how the vaccine was engineered. And then they say, well, we're not scientists, so we don't really know, so we can make up whatever we want about this 86-year-old person who had a post-mortem study on him. And that's